Welcome everyone. I went from absolutely hating to loving the 12-inch MacBook. Let's discuss. So first of all, I decided to get the max spec model, i7 16 gigs of RAM, 2017 model, and this was only £400, okay? Mint condition, barely any battery drain, beautiful. So let's discuss what I like, what I hate about this Mac. First of all, the design. Oh my goodness, 12-inch right here, only 1 kilogram, so easy to carry around. This MacBook is honestly just the perfect size. I wish with Apple Silicon, Apple would re-release a 12-inch MacBook with the same form factor, but this is the Johnny Ive era. Johnny Ive has fully left Apple in the past. He was just a contractor. Now he's gone, so we will probably never see this MacBook again, which is kind of a shame, but it is what it is. Now I use this alongside my 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro, and what do I actually do on this Mac? Well, first of all, the web browsing, okay? I upload YouTube videos, obviously I have multiple channels, and I absolutely love using the 12-inch MacBook for typing metadata, okay? If I want to write metadata, everything works really smooth on a 12-inch. There's barely any lag. The only real time I get any lag is, let's say I need to bulk update maybe 18 videos at once. I will, open a new tab, 18 tabs at once, and then like things will start to get a little bit slow. Like you can see, there'll be a little bit of a delay before the right click and open a new tab. You see right here, taking a couple of seconds, that's only when you're literally straining the MacBook, spamming the tabs. If you're just doing regular web browsing, you open a new tab here and there, you go to the YouTube page here and there, you go to Amazon, you go to eBay here and there is absolutely no lag when you're web browsing. Now another thing to keep in mind is you have to use the latest version of macOS, because the older versions of macOS cannot actually play videos. I don't know what's up. So let's say if I go to this video right here, okay, and let's say I was to watch this video on my macOS Monterey, macOS High Sierra, the video wouldn't play above 1080p. In fact, let me just go to my channel here. I can play any video, okay, highest resolution, no problem. On the latest macOS or MacBook Retina 12-inch, when you go to the older macOSs, you just can't play videos. And so that's why I first of all hated this Mac, because I would go to play a video, right, and I just couldn't play it. It literally would lag too much, right? Okay, we have a 1440p screen here. I want to play at 1440p, right? Let's play this video here, and boom, everything's smooth. You can see the cursor here is fully smooth. When I was playing on the older macOS, the video would run at 5 FPS. It would just be terrible. So that is just something to keep in mind. Now, you may look at the design here. You got the butterfly keyboard in the 12-inch MacBook. People hate on this keyboard, but I don't get it. So you may notice this E key is looking a bit weird. That bracket key looking a bit weird. What happened? So this MacBook keyboard was actually faulty, okay? So I actually paid a bit more for this 12-inch MacBook. I got a partial refund because the butterfly keys were just not working. A function key wasn't working, the E key wasn't working. But here is the deal, right? What people don't tell you is you can fix this stuff in 10 seconds. You can use your fingernail, right? Lift the top cap of the keyboard, clean out, and then pull it back on. You do not have to get any screwdrivers out. You don't need to do anything. Once you know what you're doing, you can clean any key at any time. And the only time I've needed to clean the keys was the first time when, of course, the function key wasn't clicking, the E key wasn't clicking. I fixed all those problems so easily. Ignore anyone who says the butterfly keyboard is garbage. I use this alongside the Magic Keyboard with 16-inch M1 Max, and honestly, I can use both keyboards perfectly fine. When I first got this device, I didn't need to relearn how to use a keyboard. I didn't have to relearn typing. Come on, now that's just a load of garbage. This keyboard actually feels really good. The only real downside is this arrow key here. I do struggle to find the down arrow because of how thick this left and right arrow key is, so that just takes a bit more time, but typing regular sentences, stuff like that, perfect. Now the trackpad here, this is a perfect trackpad, okay? It's just as good as the latest M1 Max MacBook Pro. It uses the Force Touch, so you can click anywhere, and this MacBook is going to be, the staple. This trackpad will always be good because Apple probably won't ever update their design, and if they update it still, this one is going to be just as good, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now the speakers here, they are really decent in 2022. So this was the first MacBook where they actually upgraded the speakers, okay? So if I was to compare this to, let's say, a M1 MacBook Air, the speakers would be virtually the same. That's not a joke. The M2 MacBook Air, they added these new bass drivers, so I'm sure the bass will be better on M2. If you compare this to any 15 or 16-inch MacBook, I mean, come on now, that's gonna thrash this guy. But these speakers are still very good. Like if you're just hearing like the regular vocals, like me speaking, stuff like that, the audio quality excellent. When you go to like the bass, I mean the bass is starting to it's lacking, right? And the really highs, those are lacking as well, but the mids, you know, that's really good on this MacBook 12-inch still to this day. Now, the only real issue that I can think of is a couple of things. So the first thing here is the webcam. The webcam's 480p. I mean, it just looks like pixels. All you see is pixels on a screen. Now, I personally thought, oh my god, this is a big deal, but then you realize, well, I have another MacBook, right? So I just used the MacBook 16-inch M1 Max for video calls, first of all, so it's not really a big deal. But second of all, you have a phone, right? I know, you know, maybe some people find that weird, or you need to get the phone out just for video calls. I personally just don't really see this as an issue, as I don't use it. Now, the second thing is the bezels, okay? These bezels extremely thick compared to 16-inch M1 Max, but I don't really see an issue with them. The main reason why is because I use this MacBook, I use the MacBook Pro 16-inch, and honestly, you feel a little bit less immersed because of the thicker bezels. When you look at the 16-inch, you know, the screen is just more immersive, I guess you could say. I mean, come on now, that's just petty. I got used to both this MacBook and the other MacBook, okay, no problems there. The screen, really high quality for all it is, okay, yeah, sure, the bezels, but you have a 1440p panel in a 12-inch MacBook. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this, okay, no 120 Hz, no HDR support, but does that really matter, you know? Not really, so that isn't really a big deal to me. I personally don't even use HDR on my 16-inch because it hurts my eyes. Like, it genuinely, I get headaches when I look at HDR video, so instead of hurting my eyes, I just turn it off. Oh wait, there's no HDR, so that's just something to keep in mind. Now, another downside is I'm using basic tasks, okay? I'm using the Firefox browser. This is by far the best browser. Safari actually lags when just typing. I don't know what happened to Safari. Do not use Safari, okay? Firefox is the only good browser, and if you do actually plan on buying one of these MacBooks, go to settings here, hardware, turn off use recommended performance settings, and then turn on use hardware acceleration. That will give you really good performance, okay? And I'm very happy with the performance. I also will have in the background Discord, I also have in the background Twitter, and for the most part everything's running perfectly smooth, okay? You know, no problems. I can have it all open in the background. There's minimal lag. I will say though, when I'm playing videos, it will start to like stress stuff out, okay? So maybe websites will be loading up a bit slower. When it comes to the RAM department, right? I would honestly recommend you get 16 gigs because I'm always using above 8 gigs. I'm always, well, not always in the swap, but I'm sometimes in the swap, okay? And so I don't know how you'd be able to manage 8 gigs of RAM. Maybe if you have 2 to 3 tabs open at once max, you'd be able to. But most people want to have a lot of tabs open, like me, okay? I'm having 16, 17, 18 tabs. 16-inch is 16 gigs of RAM, perfect for me. And you may be able to live with 8 gigs, but I honestly think that, yeah, 8 gigs ain't worth it. And of course, intensive stuff like video editing. I have Final Cut installed, right, but I have not bothered to use it for obvious reasons. It probably will look like a PowerPoint presentation. Just don't even bother with hardcore stuff. Xcode actually does run on this MacBook pretty darn well. I haven't done any exports, but I've done some coding in Python. Works perfectly well. Running Python code does run perfectly well. So really basic stuff work, but when you start to go to the GPU tasks like, you know, Final Cut, gaming, just ignore the idea. Also another thing as well, this right here, the one USB-C port. Many people complain about this. I think they're talking a load of garbage. Like, I have never needed to connect any devices to this MacBook, again, because I have a second one. If you do need to connect devices, an adapter will do the job, okay? You can have an adapter which charges and connects devices. That does bring me, though, the port speed is kind of slow. Like, it is just slow, just keep that in mind. And the storage on this Mac is also slow, but it's the same speed as an M2 MacBook Air, so I guess I may just be whining. So overall, is this a good buy? Well, it depends. It really depends. If you're someone who just wants to open up a couple of tabs in Safari, you can probably get the 2015 model, you know, 2016 model, or even the 2017 with 8 gigs of RAM, no problem. But if you want to use this MacBook as your daily driver, okay, you don't do video editing, stuff like that, then you definitely want to get a higher spec 2017 i5 or i7, 8 gig. Just keep in mind you have to close half your tabs, you might actively monitor your apps, but if you get the 16 gig, you can use this MacBook just like you'd use, you know, an M1 Max, MacBook Pro 16 like I do, just without those intensive apps like Final Cut, stuff like that, and then it actually runs pretty darn well. And again, I use this as a daily driver, no plans on that changing. I'll use this MacBook until it dies, but it has 100 battery cycles, so it will probably be quite a while. So with that being said, thanks for watching, see you guys later, bye bye.